Hello, Eastern Ace family. It's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of, I was about to say Positive Filter, another episode of Eastern Ace Conversations with Bob and Phil. Unfortunately, Bob cannot join us today. He has a meeting, but we're still going to rip and run. The show still must go on. So I'm still excited about this conversation with Steve. Now, before we get started, I wanted to start off with a few announcements as it regards to Eastern Ace. Just to think about it, I think the sign up still for professional exchange is still open. It's a great idea, get collaborating with organizations in the area. I also want to shout out to myself. I know that's not just playing, but also my mentor, Samara Reynolds, Samara Reynolds. I should know that because we're good friends. I always get tongue tied and a little nervous, but we're doing a value of mentorship across identities. This is a presentation that we put together. It kind of leads into our guest today because they're in charge of the webinars for the year. But this is something Samara has been my mentor, and so we're going to talk about the keys to mentorship when you have different identities and how to have a positive relationship. And shout out to all my mentors out there. I'd like to shout out Diana real quick. She's my Eastern Ace mentor. We got connected through the mentorship network, which I'm really excited about. Another announcement, just, save the date. We're going to be more. It is June 26th through the 28th in Baltimore. Just mark your calendars, please. The annual conference is never too early to start thinking about it. I believe the proposal window is open now. So if you're interested in presenting at the conference, throw your ideas in there. We really want to have this as a great conference. Shout out to Whitney Kerr and Mallory as the co-chairs of this conference. I know it's going to be amazing. So just shout out to that. But without further ado, I want to bring our guest on today. This is Steve Savitk. He is currently the Director of Professional Development with Eastern Ace. And so just going to bring him on and welcome.
Hi, Phil. Thanks for having me. Yeah, excited to be on here. And yes, definitely want to put that plug for the annual conference in Baltimore next summer. I'm actually going to be going down there a few days earlier because Baltimore Pride Parade is going to be taking place the Saturday before the conference. So I figured, you know what, why not go to a Pride event that I've never been to before and then go enjoy the conference with my Eastern Ace family.
I love it. So Steve, I think I like to use this as one, education to get to know you, but also education for those that are new to Eastern Ace and just what goes under certain board positions. So when we think of the word professional development, what is that the umbrella of within Eastern Ace?
Sure. So as Director of Professional Development, I oversee 3 committees. The webinar committee, and as we see with your presentation coming up next week, you're going to be an integral part of that as we kick off our webinar series for the year, and I'm really excited for that event as well. We have the Continuing Education Committee for all the sessions throughout Eastern Ace, whether they're webinars, part of the conference, or what have you, getting SHRM certifications so that people can continue their education in that way. We also post articles on professional development into the Eastern Ace monthly newsletter and come up with those. Then another piece of it is re-envisioning the types of certifications that our programming can align with. So there's a lot of exploration into maybe some that we've used in the past and some additional ones that it could be forthcoming. So it may be some additions to SHRM that you'll see being able to have for professional development through continuing education. And then the final one, last but not least, is the mentor network. So this is a great way to gain, to be a mentor and to be a mentee across experience levels throughout the organization. Highly encourage folks to sign up for that. We're currently putting that together. We have a robust network, and we're looking at ways to collaborate with other committees to further launch that and provide guidance to folks who register for the conference, sign up for apply for scholarships through the organization. Lots of activity happening there. Really excited to dive into all of that.
I love it. I love it. I think professional development is an integral part of this organization because a lot of people go to associations like this to develop their leadership and try new things and learn new things. So, taking us through your journey, let's go through, what's your Eastern A story? Tell us, I want to go back. I love when we have our board members on this this web show, share with us their journey because, we see you now as a board member, but take us back to the origin story.
Sure, sure. No, I love the origin story. It goes back to 2015 when I was finishing up grad school at Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I knew I wanted to be in the career development space back on the East Coast. I grew up in the DC area, had lived in Boston for many years before that, and had aspirations to return to the area. And my very first conference was 2015 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I went to that conference really just to learn about the organization. There wasn't as much direct hiring that necessarily happened there. We have a great job board that I want to promote folks to post their roles onto for sure, but that wasn't the main purpose. It was to really get to know folks that were in the career development field. So I went to the conference, and I remember I didn't know too many people. And one of the things that I appreciated the most is during the awards lunch. They always have the awards lunch during the second day. I was looking for a place to sit, and someone said, "Hey, you can come sit with me and my friends, my colleagues, what have you." Sat down, talking about my job search and everything I was going through with that. Of course, some stress and nerves with that for sure. Just out of grad school, trying to look for a full-time career development role. And they instilled confidence in me and provided me with some mentorship and what have you. And that individual is Dr. Walter Tarver III, who's been a guest on this show before, former Eastern ACE president. And we love having him at the conference in an emeritus member status every year. So shout out to Walter for really helping me feel at home right off the bat in Eastern ACE.
I love it. I love it. I love the shout out. Shout out to Walter as well. So then you got, your first conference experience was wonderful. And it really pulled you in. When did you start getting involved in Eastern ACE yourself? What was some of the committee stuff that you started to do to get involved with this organization?
Sure. So, the first thing I dived right in, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated about the conference is the newcomers committee, whatever formation that has been in, whether it's conference experience or a separated out newcomers committee, has always encouraged folks to get involved right away. And my journey was no different. I saw that there was the entertainment committee coming up at the time for the 2016 conference that took place in Philly, and having within my grad assistantship and some undergrad experience that inspired me to get into higher ed. I love the event planning component of that. And I joined the entertainment committee for the conference in Philly. One of the events I led was an early morning run to the Rocky Steps at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So that was, we have a morning energizer at these in-person conferences, and that was a lot of fun. And we had our dance party at the museum at their Museum of Natural Sciences, which was awesome. And that led to us being inspired to have museums host our events, our entertainment night in future conference years. And I got involved from there, and I really, really enjoyed that piece of it. I flowed into community service. One of the things that I thought was fantastic about those first couple conferences is pre-conference, there was a community service option to serve, to provide workshops at whether it's career centers or 1 year Boys and Girls Club. And I led that at Niagara Falls. And yeah, just from there, not going to go through every single piece of it.
Yeah,
but
you get the resume is heavy. Yeah, man, that's crazy.
But over time, I got more and more involved, and as I grew in my own career, having a couple of career counseling and advising positions, to working at Northeastern as a co-op faculty member. I was able to use that experience to build off of my ability to get more and more involved in Eastern ACE over time and develop organic friendships and relationships as well.
I love it. Can we speak to that too? Because I've seen your trajectory professionally, and I feel like we connected a while ago. Can you talk about that crossover transfer over of Eastern ACE experience in helping you with your co-op position and vice versa when you took some of the things that you've learned in your normal career and brought it to Eastern ACE, vice versa?
Sure. So I would say, especially with Northeastern, and I am an undergrad alum and have been working there for the past 4 years. So I am kind of biased in putting a plug in for their co-op program, but really, communicating the value of having that longer internship, essentially for a full 6-month period, and the advantages of that, and the value of having employer site visits with a professional exchange, a road trip to the real world. As I was starting off at Northeastern, Eastern ACE was very helpful as I was seeing that model to see what that could look like, whether it was helping students organize an employer visit with their related club or organization, or for the conversion over to virtual with everything, of course. So that's been extremely helpful there. And then I would say that the DEI committee, which was started by Dr. Alicia Monroe, was piloted in a first board member position a couple of years back. And now Tibisay Hernandez, who's leading the meeting in the committee right now, just that vision, that community has given me lots of insights as I try and put that lens on teaching my professional development courses. That's part of my role at Northeastern, and even talking to employers. I mean, there's insights that I gain from Eastern ACE that can help me give advice on job descriptions that are more equitable, for instance.
I love that. I mean, you spoke to it earlier, as participating and going to Pride, before the conference. Can you speak to that, with your comfortability about that diversity, equity, inclusion, and identities, and being able to be yourself in certain spaces, and how that's also informed you in your work that you do now? I love that.
Absolutely, I'm a proud gay man, and I'm always happy to share that. And one of the things that Eastern ACE, we've developed affinity groups that you can be a part of, affinity and interest groups. And we launched some programming on that a couple of years ago, and would love to, circle back on that. And I'm going to start putting together some potential plans, whether officially or unofficially, for folks that are able to make it early to Baltimore for that. But it's, when it comes to presenting, I think that having a combination of expertise and having a personal connection and meeting can be extremely valuable. And one of the topics that I put together in one of my previous roles that was more student focused was the LGBTQA+ job search from that inclusive lens, and thinking about it that way. So I took the challenge upon myself to transform that into a presentation that could be given to the college and career professionals that make up the membership of Eastern ACE. So I presented on that at our Hartford conference 3 years ago. And not only did that get converted over into a webinar with Eastern ACE, I had another organization reach out to me, Intern Bridged, for the Thought Leaders virtual conference, to convert it into a speaking presentation there. And that was my first ever paid speaking presentation, being able to speak my truth and what I don't know. I mean, the LGBTQA+ community is a large community. I'm one small part of it. So being able to give those insights and lead in that way, it has been amazing. And having that be a part of my work in a balanced way.
I love it. And I think you talked about, mentorship, and we were offline. We were talking about the importance of mentorship is actually embedded. So can you, talk about those mentors, those people that guide you? And I want to go at it from kind of selfishly about my topic next week. Maybe you can share a mentor that had a similar identity to you and share that example, and then a mentor that had a different identity than you and share that example and how that worked. And for you, when you had those mentors of different identities, what are important to you to make sure that mentor is an ally or safe?
Sure. So I could dive into a mentor of sorts, and this is an organic mentorship, not anything official. I have a friend in the DC area by the name of Murray Greenberg, and he's a gay Jewish man, and I have a Reformed Jewish background, and he has. There is a generational age difference between the two of us, but he's given me lots of great advice, and it's been a mentorship friendship over the past few years, and I've really appreciated that because we're able to talk about our identities in ways that I've never really thought of before. I mean, I never specifically sought out someone who was Jewish as well in that space. I'm not very religious, and for better or for worse, I joke about the fact that I love bacon, but I mean, just to make the point clear, but it still is a part of my identity and something culturally that I've grown up with. So being able to connect with someone who's gay and Jewish in that way has been fantastic for the past few years. Someone who does not share many facets of my identity, who was a great mentor off the bat when I was considering going into higher education in the first place. It was inspired by being on the e-board of our event planning club at Northeastern, and his name is Kevin Jin, and he identifies as straight male Asian American. And differences in his identity. One, sure, sometimes there was sharing some things from his experience and those identities that could help me build and what have you. But we had a lot in common as well. Even though he isn't even in the career services track that I eventually went into, he was able to give me a lot of insights about the field and really think about what it is I want out of a grad program. And we have similar sense of humor as well. I mean, we both love Family Guy. We both like Bill Maher. So, I mean, you can find a lot of common ground there.
So, and I love that, the commonality, common ground. That's one. For tips. I think we're going to bring this up next week. So these are some spoilers of the tips that me and Samara are going to share. But what are some things when you are working with someone of a different identity that you kind of I'd say quote unquote vet, or how do you determine if those people are your people?
Sure. I mean, I think it's really important, and I mean, to see if they, one, are willing to listen to your experience. Like I mean, know that you're going to have to educate them, and don't feel bitter about it. I mean, like, if you're in this space where you're getting along and clicking for some reason or another, just be understanding there and listen to what they're going through in their own life and career trajectory, because you might pick up nuggets from that are going to be helpful for you, or to pay it forward. That's another key piece. I know that doesn't exactly answer the question. But paying it forward is extremely important. I remember there were a couple of students that Kevin passed along my way once I had gotten myself a little more established, and it's extremely important to be willing and have that time and space there.
That's excellent. No, actually, it's true. It's like weird where the mentor becomes a mentee, or the mentor puts you on to other mentees because they know. It's like, I love that. That's a great tip, because they at that point, it's almost like Kevin valued you, that he wants people to be guided by you now. That's kind of a shout out to you and your growth.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And I mean, I think we have a long overdue catch-up call that I need to go ahead and schedule with him.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to send you the links. You got to send this to Kevin because you gave him some shout outs. So let's, professional development. We're going to tie it back in.
Yeah.
If you were a new member, or if you were talking to a new member, and, we're doing our sales pitch, like I say, okay, Twitter chats, watch this show. These are things that if you're new, jump in. What would be some tips that you give to someone that's new, that's under the umbrella of professional development, to get their bang for their buck in membership in Eastern EACE?
Well, I mean, certainly, sure. Watch the webinars and what have you, and gain some good information from them. I would say the leadership empowerment series that we're planning to relaunch, and there's lots of great innovative ways that we're going to try and make it even bigger, even better than last year. And it was fantastic. We both attended that. But I would say that getting involved in the conference, even if you've never been to one, I think is great, because many folks are going to have some sort of event planning backbone, for whether they've been a recruiter before or whether they were recently in a student affairs master's program. You're going to have something to offer, and you, especially if you've been in that space more recently, something we haven't thought about in the space to contribute. And I think that that's really important, whether it's on conference experience or whether you want to go on the exhibitor sponsorship part of it, whether it's on the keynote speaker piece of it. I mean, having, you have the, content, the thoughts to provide insights on who would be an effective speaker for this field, even if you're just entering into it in our association.
I love it. I love it. All right. So I think I'm going to do my last nugget real quick, and then we'll kind of land the plane a little bit.
Sure.
Go back in a time machine. Go back to that 2015 Steve.
All right.
What would you tell yourself? Just a nugget of advice that you would give to yourself, pour into yourself, if you can go back in that time machine. And I say, like, obviously it could be personal, but maybe so professional. Like, what would be a professional nugget that you would share with yourself? Your 2015 self.
2015 self. I mean, well, a couple things. One, I do remember that at that conference, I had dinner on my own 2 out of the 3 nights. I would have put myself out there a little bit more to get together with folks. I think self-care is really important, and that decompressing piece was beneficial for me, for sure. I mean, professionally at that conference, you talking about that conference specifically, or just in 2015 in general? I would say that just knowing everyone's been there before and understanding that you're not pioneering something by being a recent grad and going to a conference to try and to put your name out there. It's like come on, everyone's been through it, and they appreciate you putting yourself out there. And I will say that being able to just go up to someone and whether it's fist bump or shake their hand or whatever it may be, that's something I'm so excited that is more or less back, because that initiative taking there is just tremendous.
I love it. I love it. I think that we're kindred spirits on that. I remember we go back. I don't think either one of us thought of ourselves as being board members. I'll be totally transparent. We motivated each other. I remember when we said, "Hey, if you do it, I do it." I remember that. And so that's I think that same advice in 15 could be applicable to me too. Like, everyone started there somewhere. I think, and take it from me and Steve, we can do it. Y'all can do it too. Hey, yeah, but that's great. I don't know. This is, we're, I think I'm trying to go to announcements, but I also want to give you a platform before we kind of land it, and I bring up the slides again for things that we want to share with the association. But there is anything that you thought I did not ask, or things that you want to just share, or a story you'd like to tell? The stage is yours.
Sure. I would say that, one, reaching out to board members across, not just board members, but chairs across experience levels to get insight is really, really important, useful thing to do. And I would also, encourage folks that are listening that they may not have the funding to fully go to one of the conferences or what have you. Apply for those grants and scholarships. We want to see your applications. And even if you don't get either the full amount or any amount at all, that we're still going to support you and find other ways to make a meaningful experience for you. It may not be right away, but we can certainly, provide advice and what have you. So you're encouraged to, get involved, apply, sign up for all the events. The webinars that are coming up have some fantastic programming there. Strongly encourage you to join one of Tibby's DEI meetings, really all of them, but at least one of them to, that's a great space. And you can share your truth there in a safe, productive, and meaningful way.
I love it. And I'm gonna throw that in the chat, the affinity group stuff. I think it's still on the website. We got so many great resources on the website. Steve, this has been a pleasure. I'm so glad you joined us. You know, you're doing great things. You motivate me. Like I said, we keep each other accountable. I'm still, you said you were going to do things, and I said I was going to do things, and just having someone side by side supporting me has been tremendous and very. It's what's it called? Not motivational, like, because we're doing it. You're not alone. You're doing this journey and learning new things with other people. Shout out to you, Jen Rossi Long, aka she's the one that actually did the empowerment series that allowed me and Steve, to actually shadow a board meeting and get I think that was like a form of mentorship. So shout out to you, Jen. So Steve, I'm going to take you off the camera and we're going to get the announcements. Thank you so much for joining us today. Just great people, great things, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you for having me, Phil. Appreciate it.
All right. So as you know, that was a great episode, everybody. Steve was a great guest. I'm going to share again some of the resources. As you can see, this was the episode that we have. But just make sure we have the professional, college professional sign up. I think it's still open. I probably should have looked before I made the slideshow. Additionally, though, we do have this open. We do have next week, Samara and I will be doing a presentation, a webinar on mentorship across identities. I'm going to be putting that right now in the chat for those that are listening, are watching or listening to the show right now. Check it out. We're going to be talking about our mentorship relationship of different identities. Additionally, Baltimore is going down, so just be on the lookout for that. I think I have the annual conference. Proposals are actually open now. So if you're interested, please, I encourage you to submit a proposal. That's great. And then later on down the line, as Steve said earlier, I think it'll be open later. If you want to go to the conference and need support with funds, there are grants and scholarships to help pay your way to go to the conference. So please check that out. And then lastly, I think that's the last. No, that was it. The last slide. So check out these episodes of Conversations with Bob and Phil. They're still archived here on Facebook. They also could be found on YouTube and all the other things. So that's great. Follow along, Twitter chats, Eastern Ace, get plugged in, pay your dues, join. And thank you for watching this show. If you watch it later, please give it a like or a share or something like that. Elevate it so that others in the association can check it out as well. But thank you so much. And we're out.